morning. Happy Wednesday. It is sprinkling rain. And I don't think it's going to last all day, but it's just enough to aggravate you. Not that I want it to pour. I mean, we need rain, of course, but it messes up your hair. Messes up your hair. Speaking of hair, I watched Abby Young this morning. She was talking about the new Neutrogena hair care line that's, you know, supposed to help with shedding and helping your hair grow, stay in the growth phase longer, phase longer. She said that it worked a little different than the Pantene one. And of course, she emphasizes that if you are having true, you know, alopecia type hair loss, that this is not going to be this is not going to help you. That you still need to be seeing a dermatologist or, you know, someone that is an expert in hair care and most likely using some kind of minoxidil product. In other words, you need to still be using minoxidil, whether it's the serum, the foam, the shampoo. You know, I use the shampoo occasionally, but I don't like to use it because it dries out my hair. Now, I've never tried the foam or the serum because you're only putting that on the scalp. Because that's not my issue. My issue is just thinning, doing a lot of shedding. I don't have anything medical going on. I just think it's all a part of the aging process. So, this is day 3 of the Estee Lauder Doublewear, the reformulated version. Alright, I'm here for an update. This is end of the day. It's like 6:30. It's starting to get dark, or it is dark. Well, it's not. Why did I say it was 6:30? It's 5:40. It is 5:40 p.m. But the sun had kind of gone down, and I know I should probably do it in the car with the light, but I didn't. Anyway, today it looks fabulous at the end of the day again. I haven't touched anything, and I do feel like I got a little warm today, and it got up to one time, and I looked at the thermostat, it was 75 in the office. So there you have it. It still looks the same as it did when I applied it this morning. Some of you were asking me how I apply it. I use the Stands Out sponge. That's what I use 98% of the time. I will use my BK Beauty brush. I'll try to remember to use it tomorrow just to see what I think the difference is as far as applying. I just prefer the sponge. I have for a number of years. It's not always been the Stands Out sponge, but that's just the one I prefer right now. And for those of you that don't know what the Stands Out sponge is, I don't have it with me in here, but you can apply it wet or dry, damp. I prefer dry when I'm using the Stands Out sponge. When I use a beauty blender or Real Techniques type sponge, I prefer them damp. And I will sometimes use the damp sponge underneath my eyes. But today I used the Stands Out, and it's a $20 sponge approximately. You can find it on sale for a little less, but it lasts forever. I mean, you'll end up having to throw it away because you'll think you can't get it clean anymore versus the sponge wearing out. So just thought I'd throw that in since some of you had asked. But this is it. This is the end of day 2 on Tuesday, February 10th. Talk to y'all later. Today I applied with a brush. I used the BK Beauty 109 brush, I think is what it is. And, you know, that's a good brush to use. You know, there's several foundation brushes out there that would work. I am just a sponge girl. When it all comes down to it, I prefer a sponge. Now, the one I use most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, is the Stands Out sponge. Now, there was a time that I would use nothing but the Beauty Blender. And I also use the Real Technique sponge, which is the more affordable version, in my opinion. Now, you can get some that are even less money than that one, but you're going to, I just don't, they don't work for me. I'm just going to put it that way. They don't work for me. I like it to be bouncy and squishy and all that good stuff. Now, the main reason I like the Stands Out sponge is, well, let's go back just a little bit further, Vicki. You can get back just a little bit further. All right, there we go. The reason I like the Stands Out sponge is because you can use it dry, which is the way I prefer. This is what it looks like. You know, you're squeezing it and it's, you know, going back to shape. And yes, this is the one I used this morning. And I wash it every night. Now, it's going to stain, you know. But I just prefer this one to apply foundation with. And I'll link it below. Of course, all my links that I list are, you need to consider affiliate links, which means I make commission if you use my link. And I do appreciate each and every one of you that use my links. I really do. But that's not the only reason I put them down there. I put them down there as convenience because I can't stand it when somebody shows a product and they don't have the link below. It just aggravates me to, and I see creators that do that all the time, and I don't care, like I said, if they're getting paid or not. If you're going to talk about something, put the daggone link down there. Or at least put the name of it in your description box. Don't just put any old link. Sometimes a lot of us older people can't really understand what you're saying. And it's just, like I say, I just think it's a courtesy. If you're going to talk about something, I just feel that is good customer service when you put that link down there. I don't care if it's an affiliate link. If it is, fine. You know, I'll support whoever. But, you know, besides, you know, y'all know. If you've been with me a while, y'all know who I'm not going to support. All right, so here's the foundation once again. This is what I look like with it. I did use a different eyeshadow palette today just to switch it up. I used the Colourpop Amethyst palette. I'm assuming it's still available, but I don't know. Because I didn't look it up. All right. One of you asked me the primer that I use. Now, I have not been using the primer the past 2 days. But the primer that I'm reaching for when I use a primer at this point in time, there's others I like too, is this Milani Conceal and Protect. Now, this I find is not, I don't think it's inexpensive for the drugstore. You know, I want to say it's like $15, but maybe it's not that much at Walmart. I can't remember. This is what it looks like. It looks like putty almost, but it's silicones. It's going to, you know, fill in those pores, fill in those lines. If you need that, you know, it's going to blur. Let me show you on my hand just so you can see the difference. And, you know, you need to, I don't know if you need to do a gracious plenty, but anyway, I don't know if you can really see the difference. I don't think you can. Maybe I need to get a little bit more. Now, do I think there's better ones out there? Yeah, I do. They still look about the same. I don't know if it's really doing anything then. So, y'all can decide. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's not with this foundation. I think this foundation has enough silicones in it that it don't really need a primer. But now, if I have a favorite primer that I'm going to reach for, and money is not an object, it's going to be that YSL, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I'll list it below. but maybe it's just all in my head. I also like the Makeup Forever Pore Filler Primer. I'll try to remember to list these down below so you can look at them. Like I say, you don't have to use my link, but it's nice if you do. It helps me out if you buy something. Now, that's all I brought in today. I did not use a concealer today. I just took the brush and took my foundation up under my eyes. The only thing I did do is I added here on the ends up was the Maybelline Age Rewind in Brightner. It's shade 160 Brightner. And then I also put it right here. Now, some of y'all say that I don't have no wrinkles. I do have wrinkles. It's just the camera I'm using blurs them out. Plus, the makeup blurs them out. Now, where do I have wrinkles? I have some forehead lines. Now, I will say they're not bad. I feel they used to be worse. I've had no Botox. So that tells you, in my opinion, skincare works along with sunscreen. I still say everybody needs to be wearing sunscreen every day. You need to get in the habit of putting it on. I go mineral, meaning it's zinc. But if you can handle chemical sunscreens and that's what you want to use, because there are a lot of people that prefer them because they feel it doesn't leave a white cast. I'm always using something tinted, so I don't see a white cast. But, you know, maybe when I take a picture, there is one. I don't know. Now, I know one of you mentioned the Futurist Foundation from Estee Lauder, and I don't know that I ever tried it. I looked at the ingredients. It's got a lot of oils in there. I think it's a watery, serum-y foundation, so I'm not sure that would work for my skin. You know, a lot of people like that one from L'Oreal, the serum, the watery one, and the one from Maybelline, and they don't work for me. They're too runny. My skin just drinks it like it's water, and I just don't care for them. Now, there are some serum foundations I like that are a little heavier, but those that I've seen that are real watery, that is almost like a moisturizer or a water type moisturizer, I just can't deal with it, y'all. I'm sorry. And it's not that they've got so much light coverage, it's just they're not going to cover my redness. I have a lot of redness in my skin, and they're not going to cover it. I would just be wasting money and product by buying that. So I prefer a medium to full. Now, some people will say this is full. I don't. I think it's medium. I could make it full if I really wanted to cake it on, but I'm not going to cake it on. And I may have caked it on too much on my nose today. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to move on from that because I've not really talked about much this week. I've not talked about the Nancy Guthrie case any. I'm sure a lot of you are keeping up with it. And, of course, I have been glued to JLR Investigates and Nancy Grace. And, you know, Ashley Banfield is, you know, I started out watching her, but now it's like she's only posting one time. And, you know, I want to see the ones that are there live on the ground. I mean, I do. And, you know, JLR Investigates, he's there on the ground. There's others. But I have it, you know, on my desk, listening in the background, not watching them, just listening. And with JLR, there'll be times there's nothing said because he's just standing out there. Now, last night, he did something that I wouldn't have done. He took somebody home from, you know, they had been following some of the sheriff's department people, and he took somebody home that he didn't know. And they were going down this road, and I mean, it was like the little road was here, no wider than my car, and then here's a big drop-off. It's pitch dark. All you see is the lights from your car, and I'm like, there is no way. I mean, I hope he's okay. I turned it because I thought, I don't want to see this. Because I was, you know, I had this, you know, not that I'm not a mama, but I just had this mama instinct in me that starts worrying, and I'm like, I don't need to be doing this at night. And, you know, then when they released the footage of the man, or, you know, it looks like a man, put it that way, the alleged, you know, it starts playing on my mind. I'm like, gotta get away from this. So anyway, you know, I hope they find her and she's still alive, but as much time has gone by and you don't know what's going on, and I don't think we need to know everything that's going on. It's just, you just don't know what to think. You know, there's still that thought, is it the brother-in-law, the son-in-law, whatever you want to call him? You know, I don't know. You know, you always think it's somebody close to him, but you just never know. And this so much don't make any sense. And then this morning I hear they grounded all the flights in El Paso. Nothing can go in and out for 10 days. And I'm like, I've never heard of such a thing. Maybe it's happened to other places. I don't know. But this is the first time I've heard it happening into what I consider. I mean, I assume El Paso's got a big airport. I don't know. But maybe it's like our little airport. But we don't have no commercial flights. But I would assume this one's got commercial flights going into it. So this is kind of, you know, I just don't know, y'all. And they put up billboards of her, you know, all over the country. And I'm like, I just don't know. I know I've said it 100 times. If you're doing it, if you're drinking a drink, an alcoholic beverage, every time I said it, you're in trouble. Don't you be drinking and driving. No. All right, I'm going to work. I'm going to talk on one thing. I watched Adventure is Out There, you know, that lives in Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area. They went to a pizza place. I should have. Now I won't be able to remember the name of it because I'm sitting here and I don't want to say it. And I should have wrote it down. Anyway, I'll link it below. Anyway, the pizza looks fabulous. It's from an Italian that grew up in Chicago. He does have Chicago deep dish, but he also has other pizzas. But I mean, it just looked fabulous. Everything is made fresh. They grow their own chickens. You know, they source the other products from local farmers. And the gelato is flown in from Italy. The pasta, he does have a pasta restaurant too that's next door, I believe. And all that's, you know, made in Italy, flown over. One ingredient type pasta, he said, that, you know, that he never, that when they first moved there, they were having trouble with food. And they realized that they weren't eating clean. So that's how he made sure the restaurant was going to be, along with the Italian dishes and the pizza. So looks fabulous. Can't wait to go back now and try it out. But if you want to, you can watch their video. I'll link it below. You know, I love Ryan and Bree. I think they're great. And I'm going to go now. So I'll talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye.